The show progresses further on. Midway through the show, we do open the phone lines to our viewers. They have got up to a minute. To you, our fantastic viewers, you've got up to a minute and a quarter. That's 75 seconds in which you can contribute uninterrupted. So during that period, neither the host or indeed any of the guests can cut into your time. So up to when your 75 seconds are done. Max, are you comfortable with the rules?
I'm very much comfortable.
All right, let's get on with it. Blunt Talk is here, and this is where we start. First of all, how do you describe how the opposition have managed themselves in this country in general? And Max, your 3 minutes start now.
I think if I was to give my honest opinion, and I don't want to be misquoted here, I am speaking and talking as Max Ochongo, PF Diad, and not the spokesperson of the party, or rather not the spokesperson of the government. But if I was to give my honest opinion, I think we are actually missing the opposition times of the late President Michael Chilufya Sata, the founding father of our party, PF. Because the current opposition that we seem to have now is not really giving the necessary checks and balances that are needed, but instead they seem to be more on the bitter side and not necessarily doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if I was to give my honest opinion, I think they have not been doing exactly what we expect from them.
All right, that's your description.
Yeah.
I like the new Max here. That can even leave a bit of time. So amazingly, you've taken from 3 minutes. You've actually just spoken for 1 minute and 10 seconds. So maybe I can clap for you, and then hopefully that we can continue on this same trajectory. So, like I did promise, we are now joined in by a member of the National Management Committee of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, Mr. Sylvester Simayaba. Sir, good evening and welcome back to Blunt Talk. I say welcome back because you've been on the program before.
Good evening, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be hosted in this premises. We surely don't take such an opportunity for granted. So I'm glad that I'm back here.
All right, fantastic. I will quickly just run you through the rules once again. You've been on the program, so it's 3 minutes. That's the rule still for you to speak, for Max to speak as well. And during the time that Max is speaking, you are not allowed, Sylvester, to interrupt him. And the opposite is equally true. When the callers come in, the three of us are not allowed to interrupt our callers when they are making their contributions. However, if you want to make a follow-up to what Max has been saying, and I've explained these rules to Max, you are free to signal me, at which time I'll stop Max's time, and you have only 30 seconds in which to make your follow-up, whether it's a follow-up question, an interjection, and then Max will continue, and the time will be extended by that exact 30 seconds which you added in your question. So we're still at question 1, so you are not so late to the party. The question is, how do you describe how the opposition in Zambia have fared so far, in general? And your 3 minutes start now.
Wow, that's a very good question. How far or how much has the opposition fared in Zambia? I'll start by saying that the people of Zambia demanded that we have a multi-party democracy in this country. Coming back from the background where we had the one-party participatory democracy, where we only had UNIP as a party in power. And during elections, Super Ken was participating with a frog. So the people of Zambia saw it fit that we should demand a reintroduction of multipartism in this country. as a political dispensation. And true to those activists of that time, we saw in 1991 Zambia reverting to multi-party democracy, where now we had multiple players on the political platform. And that platform gave birth to political parties more than UNIP now. There was MMD, there was UNIP, there was ADECO, there were many, many political parties. So I wanted to give that background. Now, how are the opposition party faring in this particular moment? I'll give you that one. The Patriotic Front, a party that came into power from the opposition, have been a very bad ruling party in power. I will give an example. For example, when MMD was in power, Arabi and his government, they gave the opposition, Mr. Sata, a leeway to campaign at whatever time they wanted. Sata would campaign just after losing an election in 2006. After announcing of the elections, the following Monday, Sata would hit a trip to Luapula. He would hit a trip to Northern, to Mongu, to Eastern, just after announcing the results, after losing an election. So, the MMD government actually facilitated for PF to be in power. Why? Because they allowed the rule of law to prevail. They allowed the opposition to do their work, to mobilize their members, to interact with the communities. It was all rule of law at play. Now we have the PF, who are the ruling party of today. They're not allowing the opposition to interact with their members. Two, the PF, they're using police to harass the opposition.
All right, I'll ask you to wind up. I've extended your time a little bit.
So now, in a nutshell, I would say PF has been a brutal party in power. They don't want opposition political parties to mobilize and interact with its members, which is against the rules of the multi-party democracy that we fought for in 1991.
All right, fantastic. So I did give a little bit of an extension. Yes, Max, I see you raise your hand. You want to go back and use the remainder of your time for your answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you stopped at 1 minute, 10 seconds. That leaves you with 1 minute and 50 seconds, and please go.
See, when I saw Mr. Sylvester Smayava
yes,
walking in, to me he looked like a permanent secretary. At some point, I was like, this man, the way he looks, maybe he's full of corruption or not. Now let me tell you, I'm very disappointed because his dress code to me suggested that he's a man with a lot of knowledge with what's happening in the political arena. But I'm so shocked that actually he knows little about what has been happening. Today you cannot condemn the Patriotic Front Party to say it's a brutal government, to say it's a government that is not giving people a chance to speak or participate freely, when we all know that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the Patriotic Front government are the only ones that have been insulted so many times, disrespected, demeaned by the opposition. And the opposition have been given the freedom to do that. We saw what happened in Mongu. It can never happen under UNIP or the MMD.
Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop the time there and make my follow-up questions from your submission, and then I will still ask you. Number one, you talk about the fact that the current administration, and I don't use the word regime because for me, my understanding is that a regime is like when you have a military takeover, but this one is an administration because this is a government that was elected into power by a majority vote, 50+1. So wherever you can go, you still come back. It's an administration. So I will still stick my guns to administration. This administration is better than the others in terms of allowing people to speak. You have used the words, they have insulted the president. But I'll take you back, Max. You and I will still go back and remember the days when His Excellency, may his soul rest in eternal peace, the 5th President of the Republic of Zambia, Michael Chilufya-Sata, would take on the 4th the 3rd President of the Republic of Zambia, may his soul rest in eternal peace, Dr. Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, and say, you know, when Levi was in an accident, something happened to his brain. That time he was the president. And he was allowed to say this in public. Even now we can still play back those clips. He was allowed those kind of leverage. So you can't say that he was not necessarily, this is what is happening now is unprecedented. And I'm not again going to use the word insult, because I don't think either of the presidents have ever insulted the other on their way to power. But they could use very, very strong...
The late president, the founding father of PF, Michael Chilufya-Sata, he never went into a drug race with the late president, Levi Patrick Mwanawasa.
Explain the drug race, Max.
We all know what happened in Mongu. That is total disrespect to the presidency.
Oh, you're talking about the incident involving the UPND president?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. And that is not the only incident. There's another incident in where there's this new UPND member of parliament.
In Sasheke?
Sasheke, where the presidential motorcade was almost blocked. And the president just said, no, leave them. You know, so these are some of the things that you can see that the president has tolerated people, has given people chance to do what they want to do, despite knowing that they're doing something wrong. Okay. We have seen, hold on,
I'm not going to stop you.
In short, there's no way Mr. Smayawa would come here and say PF is a brutal government. Then he's being untruthful.
Okay, let me give him an opportunity to respond. When you say that the PF are a brutal administration, what evidence you have? Because Max here is giving an example that for the first time, a sitting head of state, the only person who has got an absolute right of way, all the others have got right of way, the ambulance has got a right of way, the fire truck has got right of way. In the presence of the police, certain cars that have hold the Zambian flag have got the right of way. But the presidential motorcade has got an absolute right of way. No wonder why there's an issue of road marking, and there's also an issue of total clearance. But despite members of the opposition knowing that there was a cleared way, there was an attempt to be found in the same, which posed a risk not only to the head of state, but even those, because this is a person that has got an absolute right of way, meaning that they can use any means necessary to clear the way.
I think on that one, I feel your question was very good. And let us not take the debate in that direction, because
yes, I want. It's not subjective.
It's not adding value to tonight's subject matter. But since you have asked, you know.
For me, what I used is just for the sake of evidence.
Correct. That's
because he gave evidence, so let's just work with evidence.
For me, he was just trying to go to a non-issue. But
okay,
I want to tell you that at the moment, if there are people who are very much troubled, are PF members. Because literally, they have nothing to say to the people of Zambia. Imagine, we are here discussing the role of the opposition in relation to COVID-19. So surely, someone to bring an issue of what happened in Mongu, motorcade, this is unrelated to the subject matter. Since he has brought it, let me say that, one, the opposition in Zambia, not long ago, 2-3 days ago, Chatewa and Max, I'll give a very classical example of how one opposition political president was harassed in Mbika, appearing on a radio, was harassed in Chinsari, appearing on a radio, was harassed, almost killed in Isoka, appearing on a radio. President Hakainde Hichilema is a Zambian. President HH runs the biggest political party in this country. Goes to interact with his members. So if you say the position in Zambia, how much have they done? Imagine someone goes to interact with his members to sensitize them on COVID-19. They go almost to kill him. So these are some of the issues that are making PF look like a tyrannical ruling party.
Okay.
Surely it doesn't.
So they are not a tyrannical ruling party, but they just look like a tyrannical ruling party.
Actually, they are sliding towards tyranny.
Okay, they are sliding
towards tyranny because one, they don't want to tolerate divergent views.
Okay, they are intolerant to divergence.
They are intolerant to criticisms.
Okay.
3, they are intolerant to advice.
Okay.
I'll give another example, Chatewa. You know, as we are fighting COVID-19, I thought government and opposition should have handled this thing together as a team. We put aside our political ambitions, political affiliations. Guys, here is our common enemy, COVID-19. The opposition tried to donate. The way they were ridiculed. Yeah, I can assure you. To support, to Yevo. Someone is trying to see, okay, government, they don't want to embrace us. Okay, let me also as an opposition.
But okay, let me stop you. Let me stop there even as we conclude your time slot. If you look at the opposition that have been able to make public donations, like for example at Ndeke House, and those that have gone to DMMU, we have had Right Msoma from the Zambia Republican
Party. Those are sent boys by PF. So how doesn't know such things?
No. You can't take. No, listen. No. Then let's try and get some guidance on this one. That allegation. Again, you see, because you see, blunt talk, we do. Yes, and I love that fact, and I would want, because I've heard these issues. I've heard these issues of sent. You actually call them sent chaps. Now these sent chaps, they argue that if you go to Ridgeway, to the Registrar of Societies and check, they are not operating as a TA or as trading as. They operate as an autonomous party with their own constitution, and they're legally registered in this country. So you've listed quite a number of them. I only give one example.
I was going to mention many more, but
those are just sent chaps.
Those are PF surrogate boys.
Those are PF surrogate boys.
Surrogate
Would you mind say if our producers were to bring you on a platform with any or all of those, let's say COVID is gone, we can have more than 2 people. Do you mind saying that in their face before camera? No, we can't do it. We can't do it tomorrow. Those are sent.
In their faces.
Who sent them? Who sent them?
Those are PF boys.
Okay. I love this country. I promise you, I love this country. You're watching Blunt Talk, the fearless debate, stating it as it is, and it is the Wednesday edition, and today is the 20th of May in the year 2020. The question is the role of the opposition amid COVID-19. As the time does progress, at some point we'll open up the phone line so that you, to our viewers, can participate. Your comments on Facebook, your messages via WhatsApp, indeed, all the other platforms are being taken into consideration, and we will read them and we'll review them even as the show does progress. Max, let me ask a question now, because I think my fear is that we might do this whole topic with one question, and then people will be surprised. Will be like, Chatewa, what happened today? You asked one question and did it in 1 hour.
Before you ask me a question, let me clear up something.
It's 45 seconds only.
No, give me a minute.
Okay,
One,
I won't go.
You're being unfair to me because you're giving him too many.
Okay, no. I'll give you.
Number 2, when the music is playing, the dancers' footsteps are expected to move in line with the rhythm of the music. What Mr. Simayaba is doing here is just jumping around from one point to the other. I responded according to what Mr. Simayaba said in the first place. He said the PF government is a brutal government. I gave him examples and evidence to say it's not brutal because of this and this. Then he started blaming me to say you brought this topic. Number 2, he went on to speak about what happened in Mchinga province, isn't it? Now, you saw that the government and the party gave its stance. It said, whoever did that, they've got no blessings from the party and the law must take its course. So I don't see any reason why Mr. Smayawa would be so comfortable to say, look, this is what the PF government is doing, or this is what the PF party is doing. That would be unfair. We need to wait until the law agencies do their work, then we see what happens after that.
Okay.
So now I can attend to your question.
Okay, so now let's go to a question. Very good. You actually answered. You did your clarification within the time you asked for, so within a minute. So let's go to the next question. The COVID-19 globally has called upon all of us, regardless of where we come from, whether by race, by creed, or politics, or whatever divides that we humanly ascribe ourselves to work as one. The United Nations Organizations for Health, the World Health Organization, has been very clear through its Director General saying, let's quarantine politics for purposes of COVID. In your view, do you feel that the efforts that have been put up by the opposition have been cognizant of that message, that, look, politics now are quarantined, or do you feel that it has been politics as usual? Max, and your 3 minutes start now.
For me, I feel the opposition, they've not used this opportunity well. Instead, they've continued to practice politics. We saw at some point where an opposition political party was invited to come and present their donations to the Ministry of Health. Of course, Honorable Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya was present to receive that. But to us, it did not make sense for them to be clad in their opposition regalia and then ferry cadres to that place. So to me, the opposition are failing to do what they're supposed to be doing, because the fight against COVID-19 is not the fight for the Patriotic Front Party. It's not the fight for NDC. It's not the fight for UPND, MMD, or these other National Neka political parties. But it's a fight for Zambians.
Okay, let me make a follow-up question. When you say that the opposition that were given an opportunity to come and donate, they ferried cadres, do you have any evidence to the effect that they actually ferried cadres, or that?
You are a journalist. You should have known this thing. It was in public domain when obvious Maliteta went with his cadres to Ministry of Health. And there was a conversation.
Max, you are a cadre yourself. Wait a minute.
You asked me a question that I must give you answers.
Yes.
Now,
do you have
if
evidence?
I'm trying to give you answers and you're asking me more questions, I don't know what time I should answer you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fine.
So you asked me, and I'm giving you examples. I'm saying, obvious Maliteta went to the Ministry of Health with cadres. They had a physical confrontation with the Zambia police, with our gallant men and women in uniform. You know, so that's an embarrassment, because that is not something that is supposed to be politicized.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask this.
And then as the ruling party, we have seen the Secretary General of the party, Honorable Davis Mwila, making it clear that those making face masks out of PF regalia, they do not have the blessings of the party. They are doing it on their own.
In their own
meaning
capacity.
That
the party has disowned
does
them.
Not, no. That's a mistake.
Okay.
The party has not disowned them.
Okay.
Meaning that the party does not want to politicize the fight against COVID-19.
Okay. And I was going to come to that question, but you still haven't answered me one question. When I asked you to say, were they ferried? You said they were with, you mentioned someone. Again, I try to avoid mentioning names. You can mention Sylvester as many times as you can, because he's here. So they were ferried.
Yes.
Max, you are one of those people that have proudly said, I am a cadre and I am a diehard for that matter. In your experience as a cadre, have you ever been ferried to anywhere?
What do you mean?
Have you as a cadre, have you ever been ferried anywhere? Have you ever been carried to say somebody has come, Max, have you ever been ferried before?
Depending on the situation.
You have been before?
Of course.
Okay. I know that I just needed that clarification. Then I'll move on to my next question. I'll come to you, Sylvester. I really love this topic. My good Lord. Let me come to Sylvester now. Sylvester, Max is challenging to say the opposition, they haven't done what they should have. For example, the NDC has got a seat at Manda Hill. You have an honorable member of parliament in that August house. How is the situation in Ron? How is Ron different from any other constituency in terms of how politicians or politics are playing into the COVID-19? And your 3 minutes start now.
I think as NDC, we got that Ron seat against all odds, where we had the president of PF.
I hope you are going to answer my question within your time.
I'm coming to your question.
All right.
Where we had the starting from the president of PF, Mr. Edgar Chagwarungu, to the least person in PF, they were all camped in Rwachi, where we humiliated them. After that, we've seen Ron getting...
The entire 1.8 million Zambians were in Ron.
They were in the entire cabinet, actually, and the cabinet...
No, because you have said from the president of the Patriotic Front to the least member of the... according to the last numbers, the Patriotic Front are governing us because they won by more than 1.8 million. So Ron accommodated 1.8 million Zambians.
Actually, Ron accommodated the entire government.
You are missing again. Again, you are playing politics.
Let me take him backwards. I'm a politician, Chateo.
So you are playing politics to my... You are playing politics with my questions, sure.
Taking you backwards. When Honorable Chimba was in Parliament, when he was being challenged by Davis Mwila, hey, resign. Want to see who is in power between the PF and the Honorable Kambwin. So CK showed them that I'm more powerful than all of you guys. Because that challenge was thrown by the PFSG. So our president...
But when you say that, it also makes you seem very, very braggadocious in the sense that you didn't do that by yourselves. There was an issue of the pact, so the UPND threw their weight behind you. The UPND didn't field their candidate. The MMD were also, let's be fair.
Those are our all-weather partners. And from time to time...
Because I'm looking at the tone you're using to describe your friends, to say, no, everybody came and we showed them.
That's a fact.
But if it was like in a fight, Mr. Sibaya, Sylvester, you've been in a fight, eh? Yeah. There's a term at Kuolola. So it's like me, I pick on Max. Max, we are going to fight. But Max doesn't know that I'm going to call on Bright, my guy. So Yaukandeo Bright comes in. So Max falls down because we fought him with Bright. Then I come on camera and I look at the camera and I said, Zambians, Max. It would be like...
We had to lopola them. And for us as NBC, 2021...
I love politicians, my Lord.
It will be running reloaded because one... Let me repeat again. Let me repeat for the second time. Again, once more. In Iran, we taught PF a big lesson they will never forget. That you cannot take people for granted because you have got money. You cannot take people for granted.
But I hope you're going to answer my question. Now, okay, let me stop the time.
COVID-19, our member of parliament in Ron and our structures in Ron, they've been going around sensitizing the people of Luansha, specifically in Ron, giving them a sensitization on how to respond to COVID-19. We've seen them handing over hand sanitizers, we've seen handing them face masks. So as a party, we feel that's the only role we can play in this because PF, they've not offered an olive branch to the opposition to say, gentlemen, come work together during this time. Because the burden of leadership here lies on the PF.
All right, your time is up. Your time is up.
Who are supposed to say, guys, come along.
Okay, your time is up.
We stay put. We do our own things.
Somebody is commenting here on Facebook. They are saying they love the way that you are coming up. They're describing you as being very energetic. That's what they say.
Actually, I am.
All right, so having said that, let me go to Max. Max, How did you manage to get 1.8 million Zambians into one constituency over a simple by-election? But that's just on the sidelines, because that was not the question. Anyway, how do you describe, my question again, my serious question is this. How do you describe how the opposition, in places where the opposition hold on to power, Ron, and northwestern and southern province, where you have got an area member of parliament, councillors, and the entire political play there is made up primarily of the opposition. How has it been, in your view, in the wake of COVID-19?
You see, in short, I'll just say, I think there's a member saying that goes like, Now I'm seeing our colleagues from the opposition. I'm now getting to understand why they don't have beards, because they are liars. You see, when you look at the leadership of NDC, Mr. Chimbaka Mbwili is on record having said that I can fly in the morning to the UK for breakfast and come back in the evening. Meaning he's got all the financial muscle to do that. And we all know that Zambia today as a nation does not have any mode of transport that can take Mr. Chimbaka Mbwili to the UK and back in the evening. He said that himself. I'm sure you're aware about it. But now, with all that boasting, yes, I'm not unminding the fact that Honorable Chimbaka Mbwili made some few donations to the hospital in Wansha. On that one, I appreciate him, though I don't know whether the money was out of corruption or shoddy deals. He did that. But with all that boasting, from the time they won the Ron seat, there is literally nothing they have done there, not even taking a toothpick there, you see. And when you look at this other, before I actually go to the other opposition political party, when you look at Mr. Smayawa, you asked him that question, but he was all over. He did not even answer your question, not even a bit, if I'm not mistaken. He kept on saying, no, they brought Edgar Lungu, they brought the entire cabinet, they brought the entire government to run constituency. Of course, PF is a united political party. We are very united, we suffer together, and we enjoy together. There is no election that we are going to underestimate. Be it a by-election, local government election, or a general election, we'll go there as a team. And President Edgar Chagwa Lungu has got all the right to go to any election because he's the leader of PF. Now, when we go to Ron, of course, we all know there's nothing they have done. When we go to Southern Province, I've seen someone calling himself Bali, will come and fix it. They are in Southern Province. They boast to have a lot of money. They have literally done nothing in Southern Province. They cannot point at anything in their areas to say, no, we have developed this or that, not even a primary school. But they keep on talking. Yesterday I saw on Facebook, we posted in George. I don't know, tomorrow maybe we'll be talking about what else. But all in all, the opposition political parties, they are just crybabies.
Okay.
And let me tell you, let me finish it by saying this. Look, you cannot come and advise the ruling political party when you are failing to do even small little things in your constituents. And be rest assured that egos do not take flight lessons from chickens.
Okay, let's bring in some callers. It's now time for our callers. We almost come to the end of the program. You won't believe this. You are now through to Blanto. Good evening. Very fine, thank you. What is your name? All right, we lost that one. Try to call us again, Sydney, if you would. 0978594682. That number is going to come on your screen in just a moment. My director will put the number on this. And there it goes. So just here, yeah, you see at the bottom of the screen there is the number. You can call us. We have a lady in the house. Precious calling us from Chawama. Hi, Precious. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing, Precious? Please go ahead with your contribution. Your 1 minute, 15 seconds starts now.
Okay. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, madam. How are you?
And then the other man.
Sylvester?
Good evening, thank you.
I'm just Mr. Sylvester. I'm concerned over Max's remarks that have been said. At times it's good to be very truthful. And whenever you are talking, you should learn to talk with civility. And let us not talk about the
right, we're going to bring in another caller. Precious there from Lusaka spoke mainly to Max. Max, I hope you did take note. 0978-594-682. That is the number to dial. And if you're calling us from outside the country, add +260. And you will be through to the program. We have another one on the line. Hi, good evening. You are through to Blunt Talk. Hi, good evening.
Maybe I should respond.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, thank you. What is your name?
You are talking to
Brother
Brother Stan.
Sitali. Where are you calling us from, Stali?
I'm calling you within Lusaka.
Brother Stali, your 1 minute, 15 seconds start now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, Mr. Stan.
Yeah, and good evening, the hardworking NCC man there.
Good evening, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have much to say. I just want to say that I think, Max, you should feel ashamed yourself. What you are saying, I think, don't think Zambians are not watching you and see what you are doing. And now Zambians are tired of UPF. Do you remember, Max, that one time, even on the social media, you were wearing a dress, FBA dress, and with a beer. You remember that? We were waiting. And that thing also, I think, is not going well with the Zambians. You know, I think the PF, what you are doing, even what you are talking to say, what they contributed the opposition. Do you want opposition to use their money? You know, you are spending our taxpayer money. You are spending a lot of, we are seeing people, they are singing cadres like you. You are singing in
All right. Stali?
this country. And the
Bra-
NDC, UPNC, please, we are behind you as Zambians. These people, they are backing.
Thank you.
2021.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you very much. Max,
Let me answer to the question.
Max, 2021, we end up with
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Let me answer the question.
You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, the first one came from Precious. I think she asked to say, look, where do you expect the opposition to get the monies from? I think the government, under the leadership of President Edgar Chagwalungu, has been straightforward. I think we've taken more development to even opposition strongholds more than our own. I would give you examples. I think we've taken much more in Western Province, even in Southern Province, than Wapula Province itself, even Northern Province. Now, these members of parliament that they have in those respective areas, they've got a duty to represent their people. But instead, they've chosen to walk away from what they represent by believing in what their leaders call for. We have seen them walking away on so many times where they're supposed to make critical decisions that are supposed to be used to help their people in there. So now when I say what is it that they have done, it's not that I'm trying to tell them to say, look, they must use their own resources. But the fact that we've got constituency development funds, they get all that, but what are they doing with that?
Okay.
Now coming to the
2 minutes,
second one,
two-
hold on. Let me finish the second one, because the second one is
Mind your
critical.
time, mind your time.
The second one is
I'm
critical.
going to only give you 1 minute, sorry.
He talked about actually the second one, it was more of bitterness, you know, not really a question. He talked about wearing the Dorcas uniform. That was not the Dorcas uniform. That was not the Dorcas uniform. I wore that uniform, I remember very well, on a Saturday 10 hours. I'm a good supporter of Cabo Warriors and Red Arrows. And if you look at the colors that I was wearing, they're related to those teams that I've mentioned. So that was not
Max, no.
Give me the jerseys of Cabo Warriors.
Max, when was the last time Cabo Warriors wore a dress? Chabora my dress.
I'm answering to the questions that have been asked. Those are questions that
Max, no. Max, where's your Momutima, Max? No.
No.
Okay, please react to the caller. I'm just surprised that, but Max.
What I want to say is that, you see,
no.
You know, at the moment, it's very difficult to be a PF member. Because PF is literally doing everything wrong. So coming on a set to justify, I know what he's going through. I know how he's feeling. It's very difficult.
You've been there before?
You've been there before.
I've been there before, so I know his problem. So really, the way
But when you look at the two of us, who's panicking?
You can feel
One
the
to
struggle.
say-
You can.
You are the one who's
The
struggling.
gentleman is struggling.
You are the one who's struggling.
PF has done more damage.
Okay,
PF
let
has
me- let
done
me-
more wrong.
Okay,
PF has
let's-
done more inhuman issues. So
Okay, let's try and bring in some callers if we would. The number is 0978594682. That is the number that you are calling us.
Smile, it's lovely.
Luendo. Good evening, Luendo. Hi, Luendo. Good evening. Yes, Luendo. Please, you have a minute and a quarter to weigh in your contribution, and your time starts now. Max.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Luendo. Simayaba.
good evening.
My contribution is that I think, sometimes when Zambians give clear power that they should be in power, it doesn't mean they should do, when Max is talking there, he's talking as if now all Zambians, they exist as the power, they can say anything and they can do anything. That's not how things are supposed to be taken. When you look at the people, the opposition which you are operating today, you are not giving them freedom. Like what happened over the three interviews of one of the opposition, DC interaction, speaker is good inside. It's not good, but that's not how to do things. Then I want to help me to ask the NDC man there over the alliance. What is the way forward? How are they looking at the alliance? Otherwise, we are not impressed on how the party is trying to respond as if they have the power that now, whatever, yes, they have the power as the government of the day. But this is not things that are useless. We are watching what is happening. And when we are going, just next year, like something that is just like that, that you can see that is useful. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, Ronaldo, thank you. Let's try and bring in another caller or two more. 0978594682 is the number to dial. 0978594682. That's the number to dial. A lot of people are following via Facebook, and we'll be trying to read as many of the comments that have come through as we reasonably can in the time that we have. Hi, good evening. You're through to Blunt Talk. Hi, good evening. Okay, they have their TV on. So when you call us and your TV is still on, unfortunately the line will drop, and that's because we're trying to avoid reverb. You're through to Blunt Talk. Good evening. Hi, good evening. They too have their TV on. Just switch off the TV completely. 0978594682 is the number to dial. You're now through to Blunt Talk. Good evening. Good evening, thank you. What is your name? Thomas in Chipata. Okay, yeah, go ahead with your contribution. Your minute starts now. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right, Sakala, go ahead.
I feel the PS government is the political party in power. Sakara calling from Sparta.
Okay, I think he meant the PF party is a brutal government, because he said that if you the okay, Jan Peter Jizong, but he
Party in power.
yeah, he used the word brutal, he used PF, he used power, he used party in one sentence. So we just add them and make a sentence that we can all accommodate for now, right? One more caller. You're through to Blanto. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
What is your name?
I'm Mr. Zulu
From where?
from Lusaka.
Mr. Zulu, your minute starts now. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me take it Nyanja.
Okay, Wazulu.
In a opposition Matata over CND.
Eh.
COVID-19 case nani matenda kulipe. Nizoona kuti kulipe matenda aba.
Va opposition vatawa manje Wazulu.
Na UPND.
Va UPND sivalipo apa nina va NDC. Mukayembekeza va UPND vakabwera dzawafunza mwamvera tadini. Zikoma mugone bwino. All right, good. Let me start with you, Sylvester. Your reactions to the callers, and then because we literally have
I think
5 minutes.
my reaction to the caller is that one, the people of Zambia in general, the voice is just too loud and clear that PF, they have missed their time in government. The power that PF has is delegated power. The people of Zambia delegated power to them. Guys, the next 5 years, handle national affairs on our behalf. So the people of Zambia, they have realized and they have concluded that the power that PF was given to administer on behalf of the people of Zambia is being abused. So come 2021, the people of Zambia are saying, we are recalling that power. You guys, we are recalling you. So that we allow the people who are serious-minded to take charge of national leadership and affairs. So you can see from the callers, the way they're coming, it's an indication that PF has been vomited by the people of Zambia.
Oh, okay. Max?
You have been laughing, Mr. Smile. It's actually laughable that Mr. Smile is failing to respond to simple questions. I think the first caller asked him to say, what is the situation with the alliance? Because we have not heard of anything, and he's not answered it. That is what was expected from the first caller. The second caller said something like the PF government is a brutal government. I have given examples, and the caller that is calling from Eastern Province. I can also cite examples in Eastern Province. I think the past 2 months, 3 months, we had a cadre from PF that was arrested and sentenced to about, is it 2 years or 4 years? Between 2 and 4 years, you know, for misbehaving. That shows you that there's no room for violence, there's no room for brutality in the Patriotic Front Party. So, to me, those sentiments are just coming from people that probably are bitter with the Patriotic Front Party, or probably they support.
Okay, let me ask this question. When you say people are bitter,
you see,
with the Patriotic Front, what exactly are they bitter about?
You see, when one is bitter, he behaves exactly like the way Mr. Sylvester Smile is
behaving. Yes, I understand.
They will not be. They would not look at anything good from anyone. Instead, they'll just try to bring up issues that is going to destroy that particular organization.
Yes,
or
but
person.
I think I understand your definition.
Yeah.
For example, there's a saying that if someone is bitter against Max, even if Max is swimming, you accuse him of raising dust.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Let me make it.
So
let me make
my
it
question
simple.
is, why do you think these opposition members are bitter?
You see,
where is the bitterness coming
I'll
from?
be honest with you. In fact, you've brought a very good question. Mr. Smile must be very, very careful, because I don't think he's in the opposition political party. Because I'll be honest with you, most of these opposition political parties, they've mushroomed as a result of frustrations. Okay? And they don't really mean what they say. Sooner or later, you start seeing most of these leaders defecting part to the Patriotic Front Party, because they know that the Patriotic Front Party has done almost everything that it promised the people of Zambia. Okay. When you look at Mr. Smile, they asked him a simple question. They said, tell us something about your alliance with the opposition, UPND. Instead, he just said, no, people want to remove the Patriotic Front Party. People gave delegated power to the... That is part of bitterness, because you're failing to answer a simple question. What you were supposed to explain to that innocent caller there was to say, look, our alliance has reached this level, and this is how we are moving, and this is what we are about to do.
Okay,
but instead,
because the goodness is seated right next to you.
The question was there.
Are you first, question
was
number
there.
one. First of all, question number one: are you bitter?
Yes. Okay. I'm bitter because PF. I'm bitter the way PF is managing national affairs.
Okay, so
I'm very bitter the way PF is abusing the police to harass innocent citizens. I'm very bitter the way PF has collapsed this economy. One has to be bitter, because if you are not bitter,
you can't get better.
They'll be smiling. Things are good. So I'm a very bitter citizen because PF has killed this country.
Okay, well, because in the interest of time, let's answer the big question. Where are we with regards to the alliance?
The alliance, let me assure the brother, the alliance that was entered into between NDC and other partners, it was an alliance to work together and make common agreement and common positions on national matters. And that alliance so far is going on very well. The opposition alliance, they make statements, they make programs as a team, as an alliance. So people, when you say alliance, what people have in mind is that what are you going to do in 2021? But the answer that I can give the people of Zambia, I know their hope lies in the alliance, because that's the only team that means well for this country. Okay. So the alliance is very well, very live and kicking. So what I can promise you,
could it be that maybe they are asking questions around the alliance because, you know, when the alliance started, there was the whole issue of what you called the Lopola.com. You won together, Ron seat, but here when we heard you talk, and I hope we can also have an opportunity where you can sit with the other members. It sounded as if this was a singular victory, but we know that was a collective thing. On the other part is that also we've seen the alliance compete for common seats.
That's why I was coming.
So my question, no, you are not coming there. You were telling me stories.
No, I was coming there.
You were not.
What I wanted to say.
Uncle Sylvester, you were not going to answer that question.
What I wanted to say is that one.
Yes.
As alliance, at the stage where we are now, as individual parties,
yes,
we have not yet talked about doing an electoral pact.
But what happened in Ron? Wasn't that an electoral pact?
That was a special arrangement that where the alliance partners agreed that, okay, this one we'll leave it to NDC. It's not that there was a pact there, no. So there the partners agreed that this one, because of the way CK was abused by Parliament, let's allow him or his party to contend.
NDC that
so now, as NDC, concerning the alliance, what we are saying that at the right time, when an electoral pact is entered into,
it will be announced to the public.
The people of Zambia will be made aware of. As at now, the alliance is doing very fine.
So for now, okay, let me just, and this one I'll just request a yes or no. So for now, I'm correct, if I heard you correctly. The alliance does exist to A, issue joint statements, B, to be very much okay together, C, to be this hope for Zambians.
Exactly.
That's all, that's the alliance.
Exactly.
Okay. Then Firogo today.
Work continues and work in progress.
I love this. I promise I do.
Work in progress.
Okay, so gentlemen, this is about the time that we had. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give each one of you 2 minutes. You have the camera there. You can look into the camera, talk to the Zambian people, and please, in whatever you're going to say, if I'm not asking for too much, can you also just add in a COVID-19 message? Let's start with Max. Let's start with Max. In your 2 minutes, please, sir.
Yeah, first of all, I want to appeal to the people of Zambia not to be misled by leaders that are trying to gain political mileage over the fight against COVID-19. Because the fight against COVID-19 is not the fight for the Patriotic Front Party, or the fight for UPND, or the fight for MMD, NDC, but it's a fight for all of us as Zambians. Two, I think the Patriotic Front Party, on a larger scale, they have achieved more in terms of what they promised the people of Zambia. Yes, there are some circumstances that are beyond management of this country, which could have led the people of Zambia to condemn the party here and there. We know we are coming from a history of climate change, poor rainfall, army worms, and all those that could have affected a sector that really adds value to our economy. We have also seen the coming up of COVID-19, which is a global pandemic. It has affected our economy. But I just wish to appeal to the people of Zambia to remain calm, because the Patriotic Front Party is highly connected to the Bible. If I was to take you, it's not 2 minutes.
Your time is up. Your 2 minutes is up. No, they're going to start running the credits. I don't know. I don't want to go to the Bible. Sylvester, your 2 minutes. Here's your camera. Please look there. And please, in your closing remarks, if it's not too much for us to ask, would you also make a COVID-19 message as you conclude?
As I conclude, I just want to assure the people of Zambia that the National Democratic Congress, NDC, is in this political arena, it means business. We know the suffering that the people of Zambia are going through. The economy has collapsed. The education sector is another thing. Health sector, in Mukushi, there are no Panadols in hospitals. There are no essential drugs. A lot of wrong things, violence. PF has perpetuated a lot of violence. So, as NDC and our colleagues in the alliance, we can assure you that we have your back. Just go out there, mobilize your colleagues. When time to register comes, please register in mass. We want, because we don't want to allow PF to continue. Because if we allow them, there will be nothing left for Zambia. There will be no Zambia to talk about, because these guys are ruthless. They are ruthless. So, when it comes to COVID-19, please, let's continue masking up. I have my mask here. Let's continue washing hand sanitizers. Please, let's stay safe. Let's be home. This virus is a very deadly virus. Actually, in Zambia at the moment we have two viruses. We have COVID-19 virus and we have PF virus. Let's fight these two viruses until we finish them off. Thank you so much. Signing out.
You gotta love this. I promise you've got to love this. This is all the time that we had as far as Black Talk is concerned. You know what, I'm still reading the messages. You know what, thank you so very much. We'll be back again on Friday with the Friday edition of the Fearless Debate, stating it as it is. On behalf of Max Chongo, PF Diehard, and as well as Sylvester Smayawa, member of the NMC of NDC, and indeed the amazing Blunt Talk crew. My name is Chatewa. Ambia kudariseni. Pleasant viewing.
This is Zambia, Christian nation. Yeah, yeah. Give us, you give us. This is Zambia, the home of copper.